各位客人，各位朋友，大家晚上好。Honored guests, friends, everyone, good evening. 我荣幸的代表俄克拉荷马大学俄大文理学院、俄大孔子学院，欢迎大家来主办Newman奖宴会。I am happy to welcome everyone here tonight to participate in this celebration, this Newman Prize dinner. 第一次，我想向我们的Newman奖得主杨牧教授，祝贺你，我祝贺你。First, I would like to congratulate this year's winner of the Newman Prize, Professor Yang Mu, for the winning of the prize this year. I haven't much time, so what I've been asked to do tonight is to tell you a little bit about the projects at the University of Oklahoma involving China studies. In addition to the Institute for U.S.-China Issues, which you all know about, and of the Newman Prize itself, which we're here tonight to celebrate, the University of Oklahoma has become a hotbed of activity relative to China. Under the leadership and financial support of President David Boren, we have expanded the number of faculty members who are studying all aspects of China. We have faculty positions all across the campus related to Chinese issues and Chinese studies. We have faculty members who are doing Chinese politics, history, philosophy, film, literature. Our Chinese language program is the largest it's ever been in the history of the University of Oklahoma. We now have 4 full-time faculty members on the Chinese faculty teaching Chinese to our students. We have an 8-week intensive language program every summer at Yunnan University in Kunming, China, where our students can study deeply in the Chinese language. Our students have the opportunity to study abroad, to study Chinese language abroad at several of our partner universities, including Beijing Normal University, Beishida, Beida, Peking University, Beijing Minorities University, Yunnan University, Xi'an University of International Studies. And every year we have several of our students go to these programs, some on Chinese government scholarships, some on other forms of financial support. The very first Journey program, those of you at OU know what the Journey programs are. It was President Boren's effort to get OU students to go abroad and learn about the world. The very first Journey program was Journey to China. That program is now in its 12th, 13th year. Ironically, my very first trip to China 10 years ago was to participate with our own students in the Journey to China program. And this summer, 10 years later, I will actually be leading the Journey to China program, at least the first 2 weeks of it. We were successful. We were the 13th university in the United States to be awarded a Confucius Institute by the Chinese government agency called Hanban, which is part of the Ministry of Education. The mission of the Confucius Institute is to promote Chinese language and culture. The focus of our Confucius Institute is to work with schools in Oklahoma, grades K through 12, to promote Chinese language instruction. Our partner in that endeavor is Beijing Normal University. And since 2006, we've been working together to bring resources to help Oklahoma Chinese language teachers expand their activities. We now have 44 schools in Oklahoma teaching Chinese, K through 12 schools. We've also worked with the University of Central Oklahoma and Northeastern State University in Broken Arrow to establish Chinese programs at those 2 universities. The Confucius Institute also sponsors workshops for Chinese language teachers, bringing experts from China, experts from the United States, in developing tools for Chinese language pedagogy to help our students learn Chinese even better. And every summer for the last several years, the Confucius Institute has sponsored a trip to China, part of the Chinese Language Summer Bridge Program for high school students, where they spend 3 weeks in China, again, intensifying their knowledge of Chinese language, both in Beijing and in Kunming. Perhaps our most ambitious project, certainly our most expensive project, has been the Dissemination of Chinese Literature Abroad project, a project which was developed in cooperation with the Department of Chinese Language and Literature, Wanshueyuan, at Beijing Normal University. This program, which has research offices both at OU and at Beijing Normal, is focused on all the issues surrounding the dissemination of Chinese literature around the world at a time of transition in China's history, where China is moving into a position of recognition around the world as an economic power, perhaps someday as a military power, but perhaps even more importantly, Chinese literature is on the verge of transitioning from a national literature to a world literature. American literature did that about 100 years ago. Chinese literature today is at that same transition point. This is a research project to study what happens to a country's national literature at a time of transition as it becomes more influential around the world. As part of that project, we established the new magazine, Chinese Literature Today, which is part of the World Literature Today family, a journal which publishes Chinese literature in translation, as well as some in the original language, along with criticism and articles written by Chinese scholars, Chinese authors, and Western scholars about Chinese literature. We have also launched a book series to translate into English works of contemporary Chinese literature that have never before been translated into English. The first was a book of poetry by Shuzhi. And the second one, interestingly, was a project that we started, I think, 3.5 years ago, working with an author well known to many of us by the name of Mo Yan, who was the first winner of the Newman Prize. We worked with Mo Yan to get one of his books translated by Howard Goldblatt and published by the OU Press. And just about the time the ink was to hit the paper at the OU Press, it was announced that Mo Yan had been the winner of the 2012 Nobel Prize in Literature. So the OU Press hurried to get the book out, so that OU is probably one of the few university presses ever to be a publisher as it was just coming out of the work by Nobel Prize winners. So it's a kudo to OU and to the OU Press, to CLT, and all of our efforts to work with Mo Yan to get that work into press. The latest development has been that Howard Goldblatt, Mo Yan's translator, has given up his entire collection of work, basically his entire library. And we're not even quite sure what all's in all those boxes. But what we do know is that we have the entire collection of Howard Goldblatt's translation work, which will make OU a center for the study of the translation process of Chinese to English. And as it'll become a center for researchers to study that process, we hope over time additional collections will come our way, because collections like to be with other collections. And I think even more importantly, OU will become a place to help train the next generation of Chinese into English translators. Through the World Literature Today and the book series project, we'll need lots of translators. And we'll be active in helping to train the translators to help, again, contribute to the dissemination of Chinese literature beyond the borders of China and make it accessible to more and more Western readers. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here with all of you tonight. This is a celebration of OU's involvement with China, of OU's involvement with Chinese literature, and I think simply marks a relationship which is 越来越好. The longer we go, the better it gets. Thank you.